what I said, and then they would say, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? So I decided to shy away from that, and I didn't feel like I was making a difference. And then when the show started to come around, there were a couple of things. I at first wanted to go out there and start to speak, so it helped promote the show, and it also gave me access to companies to do business with, because now I went from being a person who is really knee deep in the fashion world to knee deep now in the everything world, and I needed to surround myself with more knowledgeable people, and no better way than to get on the road and meet like-minded speakers, entrepreneurs, and of course corporations. Um, we started to realize, though, that the Shark Tank was more than just a couple of guys on there and women looking for deals that they can be part of and they can add value to. We started to realize that it's a top show on network, that is on broadcast network, that is watched from kids 5 to 15 years old. It's a top show watched with parents and kids together. And we started to realize that it was a much bigger world that we were hitting in, and we were creating some form of change, when kids wanted to be sharks just as much as they wanted to be athletes and actresses. Nothing wrong with that, but they wanted to aspire to be people, and we started to inspire people, and that started to become really the driving force and why I continue to speak and start to try to master delivering of a message to community. So that really became the driving force of why I took it on more and more and more.
Now, so you did start with speaking before you landed on Shark Tank, but would you say speaking put you on maybe ABC's radar, or I'm trying to see how speaking really helped you, if at all. If it didn't, that's fine as well. But do you think
it didn't really help me in the beginning. As I said, I would speak here and there, and I didn't find that I found that what I said didn't really equate to change, so it didn't help here. It didn't help that much.
Okay, but then once you did, and then here, I mean, this is a natural question as well, Daymond. How did that whole story? Everyone has that story of how they reached out to you to be one of the folks on Shark Tank. Now, you may have told this, when you and I spoke at the same event a few years ago, but I don't remember. So, how did that come about?
I believe that came about when I started to want to pay it forward and share my story with people. And I believe it came from me being on networks such as CNBC and MSNBC and Donnie Deutsch's The Big Idea, where I was sharing, aspects of business that I was very, very close to and trying to help other entrepreneurs. And I believe they saw me through those channels.
Gotcha. Good. So what I'm hearing a lot of, because we're going to have all types of speakers that will sort of see your speaking journey and understand, okay, well, he's a reality star. He's on television. Of course, it's going to be easier for him to maybe get attention for speaking engagements, but you have a deeper story than that, because there's a journey there. And that journey is sort of what helped you become that entrepreneur and help you create a $6 billion company. It was the power of leveraging and making sure that the right people saw you. And then ABC noticed you. You got on the Shark Tank and you have leveraged the heck out of it in a good way. I mean, I know that you're doing a project with the White House right now. Congratulations on that.
Well, thank you.
And helping underserved entrepreneurs. And, I'm a person of color, so it makes me feel good to see you out there. It's so funny. I was telling someone I was interviewing you, and they said, he's my favorite shark.
All right.
Of all of them. Now, one thing I remember, and first I was the MC of the conference that I spoke at, where you also spoke. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, he's a reality star. He's not going to be the best speaker. Daymond, you got up there and you gave an experience. I mean, you had a DJ. I'm not going to give the details away. I want folks to check it out. But I was blown away. I mean,
wow,
you took us from when you were, just had an idea until you made it. So can you just take us into what how did you put that together? Did you bring in a coach to help you? You know, what did that come about? Because you really give an experience and you command a lot of money for it.
Of course, it's something that was created over time. I'm just trying to think about how did it really come about. It came about, I never wanted to get up and I never wanted to speak in front of people and try to act like I was somebody who knew more than them,
Mm.
and come from a place that, to insult people who have maybe studied whatever topic I may be talking on for many many years. So what I felt is the fact that people cannot object with is they can't object to my story because that's just my story and that's the way that I've experienced life and this is what I've taken away from it and this is what I have to share with you that I think maybe you can take away from it. But not only did I take this away from it, I've met so many other people and I've tried to study other people and the fundamentals to what I am trying to teach are still the fundamentals to any and everybody. They'll teach the same. You'll learn about the same thing in The Secret and Think and Grow Rich and Lean Startup and whatever you may have out there. So then I try to say, well, I came from a world of hip hop, and the reason why I even created my company was hip hop, and it's very visual, and it's the art of telling a story that came from the kids from the street. So how can I share this visual with other people? Because to elaborate and just tell the story is great. And I had to learn how to tell my story first without any of the visuals because, out of all, whether it's Dale Carnegie's books on speaking or whether it's Robin Bird on, I think it's Robin Bird, 101 Ways to Speak, whatever the case is, using visual PowerPoints and all those cannot be a crutch. You have to be able to deliver the message with somebody and not feel like you are dependent on slides and crutches and things of that nature. So I was able to start delivering my speech without all that stuff. And then I slowly interjected the DJ and the person to score my speaking engagement, but not to depend on it. And at first when I brought it around, people said, no, don't bring it.
Wow.
Or, we don't have the setup for it or we're not paying for it. So I would pay for it myself. I would say I'm going to, I'm going to come and speak for free. Allow me to do this, and I would do that. No matter even I was already on a show,
Mm-hmm.
and some people would not have done that, but I also wanted to try to step it up, and I just really felt strong about it, and that's when I started bringing it around. And like most speakers, they start to put together 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different forms of speeches and deliveries, and I usually carve out about 30 to 40% for the client, but the other 60% of my life, I can't change my life, right? Mm-hmm. And I then started to see what resonated with people and what did.
Wow, I love that. So you started from what's something that I can share my story because folks want to know your story. They want to know, how did you become a billionaire? We want to know. And then you took it. And then I think the DJ part celebrates the hip hop, part of who you are. And then, come on, Daymond, you also have an edge when it comes to branding because come on, you always look flawless. And branding is your thing. So I think you also knew how to brand your entire speech and then how to position it out there to the market, in the marketplace.
Well, listen, I thank you for the kind words in regards to the branding, but, branding one thing and branding others are totally different. And, a lot of times, they want me to come in a suit and I do come in a suit most of the time. But when I'm speaking to tech conference or kids, millennials and things of that nature, the suit can actually be a deterrent. They can't relate to me because they're like, oh, look at the stuffy guy that I see on TV, in a suit. Or when I play hip hop sometimes and I'm in the middle of a Midwest town and I'm talking to a bunch of financial advisors and or the people, who are really a little bit older, they may be, 50 to 80, I have to find a way to relate to them. And even when we have the DJ, because, I'd rather call him somebody who scores my speaking engagement, we have to change that messaging and change the slides and or the music to adapt to the crowd. If I'm talking to a crowd that is a very mature people who are hedge fund bosses and things of that nature, anywhere from 50 to 70, I have to concentrate more on how what we call today hip hop was a voice to kids. I have to concentrate more on playing on some of the older music of my grandparents and saying how those American heroes, came back from fighting the war and gave me the ability to stand on that stage as a free man and address you, because I know they're going to relate to more of the Rat Pack. They're going to relate to Elvis James Brown and things of that nature. So we do change it around according to who it is we're speaking to. And we spend a lot of time analyzing the crowd that we're going to address.
Wow. And it's so smart. I mean, you're giving speaker tips. Really pay attention to who you're speaking to. And although you may have your whole routine laid out, especially with what you've put together, you still learn, okay, I may speak to hedge fund or executives on Monday, but then on Friday, I'm speaking to young people. So you are ready for that shift.
Yeah, we're ready for the shift. Some things that my team and I do as speaker, and when we go into account, so we don't rest on our laurels, and there's nothing that we should take lightly if somebody is going to ask you to address the community. So a couple of things that we concentrate on. We concentrate on addressing something that is local and current of the day. So to open up with that, we make sure that we are never pitching any kind of service up there. We make sure that we are talking about the community that we're talking about, or the industry, and we're talking about the problems that we have either seen, overcome, or are facing. So these individuals are aware that they're not on an island by themselves. And then we talk about how we feel we can cure this issue. We also try to talk about some of the personal aspects in my life and other people's lives that we failed at, family, health, and things of that nature, because a lot of people, they hear business all day, but at the end of the day, business is a balance of family and time and faith. And if you don't touch on that, you start to just become the same old person with strive to be number one. You can do it. I just don't feel that is the proper message, because, all of us have so many dimensions to us. So we try to concentrate on so many things as my company when we speak, and all the speakers that we work with and represent. We find it very hard to, a lot of times, everybody thinks they can just go out there and speak, and we find that their message is a lot of times just not good enough, for people. And it's so anyway. We pride ourselves on what we do. We don't take it for granted that people want to have us deliver their message to their community.
Yeah, you do some work. You do some behind the scenes work. And I love that you said, in your own words, that your goal is to stay away from the sea of sameness. In this celebrity interview series, I'm talking to Lisa Nichols and Brendan Burchard, and just a lot of Larry Winget, Alan Weiss.
Right.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
Of all, and one thing that you guys all seem to have in common is find your own unique voice. Do not try to sound and be like everybody else. Take that risk.
Right, exactly. 100%.
Wow. You also have a book, The Power, I want to make sure I say it right. I wrote it down somewhere. The Power of Being Broke or something.
The power of broke.
The Power of Broke. See, I'm throwing an extra word in there. Now, clearly, because it comes from your heart and you want to share it with everyone, but in our industry, a work of art, a book, in addition to a TV show, but again, you got to stay relevant. I'm sorry, I'm in loud New York, so you're hearing all that noise. Being relevant is a big deal, especially for folks that have been doing this for a very long time. And even Shark Tank is not a new show. It's successful. It's been on for a while. And so you have to constantly, put yourself out there and stay relevant. So writing a book is a big part of that. So where did this book come from? And was it sort of another way to not just stay relevant, but to sort of say, all right, guys, I got something to say and I can help you and make a difference in your communities?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. It's about making a difference. This is my third book, and this is honestly a book that I never thought would resonate with people, and it's called The Power of Broke, and it's how empty pockets and a slim budget can be sometimes your biggest asset because you know I I put all a lot of time when I speak, there are the Q&As and people ask questions, and I put the 30 most commonly asked questions down on a piece of paper, and I said, well, how can I address this? And most of them, are about, first of all, how to get investments or what's the first step or I don't have any money. And then I realized that, too many people have been brought up in this world of that they need money to make money or they have to have a famous last name and they can't do it without this and that.
Yep.
And I see that whether it's in person people pitching me on Shark Tank, but there's two type of people that I see out in the world. I see the people who use that as an excuse, and then I see other people who are like, I came over here with $7 in my pocket, and now I'm worth $20 million because I busted my ass. I surrounded myself with, with right-minded people. I did my homework, and I decided to put that in a book and show people that actually the fact that they're broke, they have two things they can do. They can complain about it, or they can take action, and that's why I put the book out, to give these people that, because I also, being on the show, there's a lot of people that ask me to mentor them, and I barely get time to even mentor my own daughters. And I figured that if I, a dyslexic kid who came up with nothing, who was dyslexic, who got left back, raised by a single mother, never went to college, couldn't rap, sing, or dance, or whatever the case is, if I can make it to this level, and if I can pen it and put it down, and not only put down my story, but put down 15 other very successful people who came from nothing. If I can do that, then that can be people's mentor. That can be what people need to see, because people think that I somehow have the silver bullet to how to become successful. I don't. I failed way more than I succeeded. So I put it all in a book. And now when people ask me, I go, hey, just read the book, even if I got to give it to them. So that's why I came up with the book, because I wanted it to be another form of guidance,
I love that. So it requires sweat and hard work. You can't just expect it or feel entitled. Of course I got to ask, do you have, now I do watch a lot of the episodes of Shark Tank, but not all of them. Have you ever had thought leaders in our category or speakers or experts, without physical products come on the show and try to pitch their business, or would that just be kind of odd?
I had, we've seen some people who've had sales techniques come on once or twice, but and then we saw somebody who came on as a ghostwriter with a service for everyday people, but that's about it.
Yeah, so it may be a little tough for a speaker to come on, but we could, I guess, if we wanted to.
Right.
But I guess my question is, as speakers, we're selling our knowledge. Yes, we have books and products and programs and CDs and all these wonderful things that are, additional legs of our intellectual property that's in our brains. But overall, people are buying us. So that would be hard to pitch, I'm thinking, on Shark Tank.
Very much hard, yeah.
Well, any final tips? Because first of all, I appreciate your time, and I love that my speaker friend, mentioned you would be great for this feature. And I'm like, yeah, I met Daymond, and now I get to really have a conversation with him. But any tips?
I think you've had some great. I think you had some really great questions that I haven't been asked before. But I think you covered it all, actually.
Well, thank you. Well, again, I'm Marquessa Petway. I'm here in New York City, and I noticed on your website it says that you're booking, or it says on one of the sites that you're coming from New York. But then when I've seen you on Periscope, you're in LA. So I'm thinking, which is it? Is he an East Coaster or a West Coaster? So can I claim you as an East Coaster?
No, I'm from New York City. I'm born and raised, still live there. I travel about 280 days a year.
Okay, well, that explains it. All right. Well, you definitely have to settle down, and thank you so much. I'll definitely reach out and thank you and let you know when this is going to run. But thank you for your time and for making our industry look good. It means a lot.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. You have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Daymond. Bye-bye.